Alright, let's see what we got here. Play a few anonymous games. My first time streaming, so I don't really know if I got everything hooked up right, but I'm hoping so. I like to play E4. Hello, Rui Lopez. Alright. Usually on the Steinitz variation with D6. Most people try to break up the center right here. Castle. Usually you want a castle early, but in this case, there's no real threats. Punch first. A lot of times they'll take and then bishop, but in this case it's just bishop, so give him a chance to err. I could grab space here. I could develop here. Developing's probably the better way to go about this. Now the bishop's protected here. So I'm protected from a pawn. A couple ways to go about this. I could play bishop c4. Play bishop e2. Now, of course, there's the trap. You got to be careful if you go back. Pawn down, back here. Takes, and then c5 is the trap. But in this case, I have bishop d5 to get out of it, right? After c5 because the rook's under attack. And you get two pieces for the rook. It's a very, very messy, complicated thing. So I'll just play bishop c4 instead. Get out of it. And now you see me pre-moving. I pre-move a lot. A lot of times to my detriment. I'm going to go ahead and castle. Get out of any tricks. I don't think there's any tricks right there, but might as well. Now, obviously, the best thing could happen for me would be to open a file here. And he's giving me a chance to do it. So after I capture, he can't move the bishop because this is hanging. If he plays c5, that'll make things pretty easy for me. I'm not going to say easy. It doesn't lose. Knight f6 is probably the move he's going to make here. He plays knight f6. I'm probably going to play e5. Alright, that's an interesting move too. Now again, if I move back here, he plays c5. And then traps the bishop. So I can't play there. So I have to play bishop d3 or e2. Now he's going to overextend. I almost want to play d3 just to get him to overextend. That is what I'm going to do. Play d3. Now if he plays c5, I'm going to play queen to e3. And then he's overextended here. And the knight's going to have a hole right here on d5. He still can't play bishop here because of this. Knight f6 is the move. I've had people play queen f6 to trade queens. I don't think that's good. Okay, a little bit of a surprise. Let's give him a chance to go wrong. I always say give your opponent a chance to go wrong. Do I want to finish the... See, I could finish developing with bishop f4 here, attacking this, forcing him to move his bishop or play queen e7. Yeah, let's do that. It's a good move. Finish his development. Rooks are now connected. Pawn on d6 is double attacked. It only defended once. He has to address it. Look at his development on the king side. Now he wants to play it. Now I have to calculate here and weigh. If I take on g7, he plays bishop f6, and what comes next? Take on g7, bishop f6, queen g3. I believe is forced. I could just play bishop takes d6 right here. I think that just wins a pawn. I don't see any tricks. That's probably better. Yeah, let's do that. Because now if he moves this bishop, say he plays bishop g4 or something, I can move bishop back and protect the queen. So that's probably the move. Um, hmm. That actually makes things a little more interesting because now I can take. He has no threats. He has no threats. I take this. I'm good. No threats. I don't think. I find myself sometimes I say no threats and then I get mated in 2 moves. No threats. None that I see. Looks like I'm up 2 free pawns. Okay. Now obviously that weakens this diagonal to the king. Question is, do I want to play e5 to open that diagonal? That is the question. Part of me wants to play knight d5 right here to attack the bishop, and I need to watch my time. I'm being a little too talkative here. Yeah, let's do that first. And then if he takes, I'm threatening knight c7 with the fork on the rook. And I'm also gonna play e5 at some point. This move is sort of nonsensical that he did. So now I'm threatening knight to c7, which forks the king and rook. And he can't capture because the queen protects, obviously. And it's not a very easy, well, let's see. Plays rook c8, which is sort of expected. What do I do then? This pawn's protected, so I'm not really worried about that. I'm up 2 pawns. I could just retreat. Or I could play. Okay, this is kind of what I was hoping for. So now I can play queen d6, and I think I have a pretty good lock on the position. You can't come here because it's attacked twice. I'm threatening this pawn. This knight can come here. Yeah, see, he had to move again. Okay. Should I just take this pawn, or is that too greedy? No, it's not greedy. He doesn't have any threats. If your opponent doesn't have any threats, you can grab pawns. If your opponent's active, you got to think about it more. You got to calculate more. What do I do here? I feel like I can just right there. Now, if he attacks me with the bishop, I'll snatch up this pawn because the f6 move. He can't attack my queen any other way. Here and here is covered by knight here. Okay, that's a sensible move. But now, and I think that'll about do it. If he takes, yeah, that's even worse. Check. Where are you going? Uh, check. And black resigns. Good game. I hope I'm streaming right now. Live from Starbucks. Do you play Bullet? Um, I play 2-1 and 3-2. Fastest is 2-1. Now, I'm sorry, I don't really know how to look at the chat while I guess I could minimize this a little bit to look at the chat like this. Yeah, that'll work. If that works for you guys. Yeah, that's good to me. All right, let's get another game going. All right. And I'm not married to especially for anonymous streams like this. I'm not married to opening systems. I can play D4 if somebody wants to see something. I do like to play against a D6 Sicilian. I do like to play Bishop B5. Check. Find people are too prepared for the Najdorf, and I play A4. The Najdorf is way, way, way too hard to memorize all the lines and all the exchange sacks on C3, and it can get rough. So against this, I like to play C3 and get a big pawn center. Since the queen's on the D file, hopefully he plays E6. I prefer that to, if black plays G6, that's probably the best way to play against this. Um, E6 allows me to have that big pawn center going up against his small center, and I usually have a big space advantage when that happens. And this opening system's good. Try and get D5 in. There are some tactics. There's some tactics, especially when the light squared bishops don't get traded off. There's some tactics involving D5 and a knight exchange on E5. And you're not going to see any of it because my opponent left the game. Let's try a new one. F4. So bird's opening. I really don't know what I'm doing as black in bird's opening. I try to just develop in a sensical way. Like for example, right here, seems to make sense to me. I ruin his pawn structure and then play this. And now I can check him. And develop on the castle queen side. Uh, do I want to go here? No. I don't think there's any productive tactics here. I could just capture. Bishop check, knight back. Yeah, I'll just capture. And now with the capture, this is sort of a threat. Because if queen blocks, I can take with check. So watch. Just to demonstrate. If queen blocks, or if bishop blocks, either way. Well, if bishop blocks, I take here. Alright, so this has gotta be just dead one, right? Um, Knight takes, he goes back c2, and then I don't have anything. It's the light squared bishop that I want to keep cramped. Take either way, right? Queen staying. Let's take this way. I'll probably just take the bishop. I feel like I have time to calculate, but I don't know if anything's there. It seems like it would have jumped out at me if something was there. I'll go back and check after. All right, I'll just take. He might just no, because bishop's hanging. Let's go. That's an interesting. You know what? I play this. Now he can't take with the queen. Yeah, I just get a piece. He couldn't take with the queen because then I just take the bishop. So now I'm just up, what? Up a piece, right? Now, rook staring down. Yeah, this is one. Finish develop. Here. I'll take it if you want to trade. Doubt it. I'll just take that rook. And that should be resigns. But like Carlson says, it's his absolute right to play on. if he gets the rook here, I'll just play g6, solidify. Yeah, opponent's left the game. And I haven't been playing on Lichess long. I usually play on chess.com, so apparently it's a thing to not resign on Lichess. You just walk away from the game, which I guess it only adds 10 seconds. All right, let's see if we can show. Oh no, he did something else. I'll play a open. I want to eventually show some of those tactical tricks I was talking about. Hmm, I don't see this one too often. Seems passive. I'll just play something natural like bishop e3. Play it anyway eventually. I never put anything on g5, so unless you really know your opponent and this square is used by him, it's probably a big waste of time to play h6, especially in a tempo-driven opening such as this. So usually I'll play bishop e2 because this bishop and this knight combine. The knight likes to come here to harass the dark squared bishop, but in this case the queen is covering g4 right here, so the knight can't come there. So I have the option of developing my bishop to c4, which is the more natural square for it. And I'll do that. I don't know Sicilians all that well as far as theory goes. Um, they are not easy to navigate if you don't know the theory. I know I'm not supposed to play f3 here, so let's see. Before I play f3, let's see if I can figure out what I'm supposed to play. In this instance, it looks like the only move. I can't just let him take the pawn, can I? There might be some weird fork trick or something where he takes the pawn. I guess if I move this knight, take, he takes, I play queen to d4, and then I'm forking both pieces. If I had more than 3.5 minutes, I'd try to figure it out. I'm just going to play f3 and deal with the consequences. There's probably some kind of fork trick I'm running into with knight takes and then queen over, but we won't see it. He's going to double, and I'll get the bishop pair, which I will almost always take the bishop pair and an open b file for these doubled pawns here. I'll even give up the pawn for the bishop pair and an open file. That's almost always worth it. And he gets rid of the dark square bishop. These are even more target. Now he's trying to load up, which is a good move. I mean, this is fine. Let's see. So this is going to be guarded. I could do, I will do this. That knight wasn't doing anything on d4. So if I was worried he was going to come here. Let's see. Can I harass the queen more? I can harass this knight more now that it can't retreat to c6. I can play this. So I'm hitting knight and bishop. Let's do that. So the bishop's attack, the knight's attack. He kind of has to play bishop takes. And now this knight's undefended, so I'll take back with the knight. And now his knight is on pre, but it can't go back to c6, which is the natural square. So he either goes to g6, which he does. Now this, I gotta think about this tactic. There's a common tactic, since this pawn's the only thing guarding the knight, could take here, but then he just pawn down, because that square is defended by this knight. Now be careful, there's a lot of tactics. Let's see, could just develop, might be the best move. Let's develop a piece. All right, and now I'm gonna do something I love to do. Block that square. Block this pawn from advancing. Now, if he takes, that rook's gonna stay there unless he plays knight to e8, which is a pretty backward move. I mean, it's necessary, but it's the only way he'll ever develop his bishop. So here, I could force this file open by taking the queen. Let's see. I could also triple up. It's an option because he's not threatening anything. I'll do that. And then if he takes, I'll take back. No big deal. Let's see. Capture, capture. I suppose. So the threat's obviously a4, trapping the bishop. Could just play a4 myself. Yeah, because the pawn here is guarded. So if he pushes, I just move the knight up. And then that's an even better defender for this square that I'm holding. So now if he takes, I take back with the knight. You'd rather blockade with a knight than with a rook. And this bishop is guarding this diagonal beautifully. I don't have to worry about any forks. This bishop is probably going to develop to a6 because this rook's here. Actually, now I just develop here. Now I'm threatening this pawn. He has to guard it kind of passively. And I wonder if I should blockade here with this bishop. I feel like I should. So now this bishop has a very limited range of motion. It has to stay guarding this pawn. If he threatens with the rook, I'm just going to double up. And now the bishop can't threaten that rook at f1. Now, he can't come here anymore. He's probably going to bring king. Well, he can't bring king over because of the discovery. I want to activate this bishop, but it's doing so well on this diagonal. He can't push the f-pawn because of it, because then it gets captured. Where is this knight going? Where is the knight going? It's always good to figure out what your opponents are trying to do. I'm okay on time. Should I bring my king up? I have time. Kind of want to play bishop here to keep the rook tied to this pawn. Let's see. If the rook moves, I'll play bishop b6. Okay. Let's go here. A minute 30 left. I'm going to challenge this knight here. As soon as I play h3 to make sure he can't fork the king and pawn, right, from the g4 square. Now he may have played knight here to free the bishop, but if he plays here, I'm going to play bishop down, pin the knight to the king. He has to react to it. Take the knight and take the pawn right here, free pawn. And I've been waiting for a free pawn to pop open this game, and I haven't had one yet. And you can see this is a dangerous diagonal for him. Let's play this first. We knew that was coming. Okay, and now this bishop's in the line of fire. So take. Actually, this is probably more accurate. There, and there. And now I go back. And now I'm up 2 pawns. So an opposite colored bishop in game is probably winning for me because I'm up 2 pawns and this one is locked. So I'll take the open file and we're going to win this opposite colored bishops in game. Almost pre-moved a disaster right there. It happens. Wouldn't be the first time. And this is clearly winning. It's just whether I have the time to do it. Hey, Casey Jones, how's it going, man? Long time. I didn't know you were into chess, or are you just supporting? Either way, good to see you. Let's protect this bishop and black resign. I mean, yeah, that was a really good game. That opposite color bishop's in game. I don't really know how to go back. I just started using Lichess. I'll figure it out. But once I do, um, oh, here it is. Yeah, so whenever we were in this position right here, yeah, I'm streaming right now. When we were in this position here, everybody always thinks opposite color bishop in games are drawn, even a pawn or two up, and in some cases, even 2 pawns up, it is drawn, but not many, honestly. A lot of times, it's worth it to play on for a win. And the things that I really look for is if they have a pawn that I can attack, and there isn't a pawn that they can really get to easily. Like you can see, this pawn is on a light square and it's fixed, but I'm gonna get to this pawn before he gets to this one. So it's definitely gonna be hard for him to hold this. With me up 2 pawns, this third one's gonna fall. He has to babysit this one. It's just a lot. And right here also, I don't know if y'all, if this pawn comes down, I just play bishop up. And if he threatens it like this, then I play rook over with a discovered check on the king, win the rook, and we go into that end game where I'm coming here and knocking that one off. Let's play another one. This is great. I need to figure out how to see how many viewers I have and stuff. I really appreciate your support, Casey. Um, this is something I always wanted to stream chess. So we have this is a regular gambit in the Scandinavian. Get a lot of activity for sure, but I've never had many problems with it, and I say that reluctantly because a lot of times whenever I say something like that, I end up having problems with it immediately. But we'll see. Um, Usually, if you play these things straightforward, these kind of tricky gambits, you know, it doesn't pose too many problems. I'm obviously not gonna give him what he wants by taking and allowing this bishop to come on this pretty diagonal with everything bearing down on my king. Um, Midnight Tragedy. Thank you. We're all terrible once. I lost my first 18 rated games before I finally won one. And everybody sucks at chess until you're good at it. It's a game that's easy to learn and hard to master. So here I could eliminate this threat by just forking the queen and bishop. Since none of my pawns are advanced, I don't have to worry about fork tricks. The queen's covering f2 here. Got a couple options. I could do that. I could play d4, which is always interesting. Why do I have so much time? Did my opponent give me that much time? I don't know how this works. I'll play knight a4. He's probably going to take with the queen here, and I'll just take and then play d4. So he can't take with the pawn, he can't take with the queen, he can't take it all. Um, Here, I might as well develop a piece. Why not? The plays and taught me, but I'm just awful. Yeah, it it may take a while, just to warn you. So I'm gonna trade queens here. If he blocks with the bishop, which is probably the best move, what should I do here? That's not a good square for his bishop, so he's gonna have to move it again. One of my main rules in chess, and I've said this for a long time, make their pieces look stupid. It's very easy to remember. And all it basically means is whenever you get challenged, like, and I don't know if it's a good, it's something that works for me, right? Whenever you get challenged on a square like this, if I trade this bishop, he captures while developing his knight. He's hitting these squares with his knight. He's able to castle, yada yada yada. It's good for him if I capture. So basically, I'm just gonna move out of the way. Now he has to. I'm not really wasting a tempo because he has to move his bishop again. And it's doesn't have any really good squares to go to. He doesn't have a major piece to pin this knight to. I'm gonna take here next, or he's gonna take, and I'm gonna take. Yeah, make their pieces look stupid. It's a great concept. Now here, a lot of times I'll trade, and as much as I love having the bishop pair, and it's a great thing to have, taking this knight is sometimes a really good thing because it prevents him from castling. But in this case, his knight doesn't have his natural square to develop to. If he ever develops here, I'll have the option of doubling his pawns and making his pawns look stupid. So I'm just going to take. Hopefully he takes with the knight and I can trade that piece off and get him an isolated pawn. He doesn't take it all. True gambit spirit. So since he wants to gambit so bad, um, I am going to make his life as boring as possible. Whenever your opponent plays gambits and tries to sacrifice everything, best thing you can do from a competition perspective is to make things very boring for him. And that's what I'm going to do here. Now, if he pins the knight to the rook right here, I almost have no choice but to capture. Oh, I don't like this move. All right, so I have two choices here. And I don't know if he's granting me more time. I don't really understand what's happening here, but I'll go forward assuming that this is the amount of time I have left. If I take this knight, I win a pawn here, but that pawn's going to be hard to keep because it's isolated. It's advanced up the board. I don't have any major pieces developed. I mean, they're developed, but they're not on the half-open file. If I take this pawn, it looks like, oh, that's great because he can't take back because it leaves the knight undefended. But then the knight comes here, threatening this square, and that might get a little tricky to defend because once I defend it, he can take the pawn right back with the knight. So I think it's better to do this. And now whenever he takes this pawn, I'm going to take back right here. And now I have this, I'm not going to be able to hold this pawn. I'm going to try just to piss him off. I'm going to move it up to f7 and defend it with the bishop. But this is really the passer. This is my pass pawn now that I'm really going to try and queen this pawn before the game's over with. And he might resign before then. I should be winning easily here. I'm up 3 pawns. Um, my king is totally safe. His pieces don't have great natural squares to go to. As soon as this bishop moves, I'm going to trade rooks. Um, I should be winning this easily. Yeah, trade rooks. And how do I want to proceed here? I don't really want to let him triple my pawns. It's probably not a horrible thing, but I mean, triple pawns are triple pawns. I really need to cut off this file. This might be the best move here. So if he plays here, yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going to trade bishop for knight, and I'm going to play this pawn up. Or actually, can I win another pawn? I can win another pawn. I can win this pawn, right? No, because he just has to move it, and I can't protect this. I can play this, though. Hmm. All right, let's set a little trap here. Now the trap is if he takes with the knight, I play, yeah, fell into the trap. Check, fork in the knight, and he loses a piece, and that's game over. Nick Bourgeois, that's you streaming? I just recognized the name. It took me a second. All right, so he's actually making a threat here. Um, okay, maybe that wasn't a great trap because the threat. Oh, I do see an out though. This one's kind of tricky. There. Huh. Let's see if we can get out of this. He's threatening to come here for checkmate. So to avoid it, I have to move my knight. Or I can defend the bishop that way. And that's the way to do it. So now he's down a piece. That was a good little trap by him. It took me a second to see that I could protect the bishop with the pawn. Yeah, so now I'm up. If he checks with the bishop here, I'm going to move up to c3. And I think his attacking chances are really done. If he plays b5 to undermine. See, there's another trap. If somebody's not paying attention and takes here with the rook, boom, bishop check. So I'm going to take here instead. Bishop check anyway. This looks like a good square. Sure. He's going to play rook here. Yeah, this was probably a better square for the king because of that. But I'm playing a little sloppy right now. I apologize. Let's see if I can start to cast a net around this king. I might try to checkmate him here. Okay, that's kind of a pointless move. Threaten the bishop and simultaneously protecting that pawn. Yeah, this was really sloppy. I should have finished this game a long time ago. All right, so this is going back since I have a minute. Midnight Tragedy, if you're still watching, the this is part of making your opponent's pieces look stupid. Whenever a bishop's on the rim like this on the edge of the board, if you can get a knight 3 squares away, look at the control. The knight controls all of these squares. And similarly, if a knight's on the rim, well, not even similarly, even more so, if a knight's on the rim and you get a bishop right there, then it's completely trapped because a knight on the rim only has 4 legal squares. If this was a knight, that would be the 4 legal squares, and you see a bishop there would be controlling all of them. So that would be a good thing. All right, this pawn's completely protected by this bishop, so this rook has absolutely nothing to do right now. It might attack this knight from this square or this square, and I'll just move. And that's what it did. So I'm going to take this moment to round up this. I might just capture all his pawns because I can't find a checkmate in the middle of the board. So I'll just take all his pawns. Make sure he can't win. Make sure there's no traps. Hopefully he falls into some kind of trap at some point. He might try to reposition his bishop here and his rook here, and if he does that, I'll just move the king. Not a big deal. Or as soon as the bishop moves, I'll move the king. That way I can play a4. All right, he has decided to commit suicide. and that will be the game. You see the rook bearing down, and he has left the game. I was hoping he'd let me show y'all how to checkmate with just a rook, since there's some beginners in the chat. Let's see if I can show you. I can go to analysis. So if he was black and he said he would do this, I'm gonna bring the king closer. He can't come across this file because the rook's cutting off the whole file. See? So when he comes closer, I can check with the rook, and that forces him back because the king is covering these 3 squares and the rook is covering these squares, so he has to move backward. So say he moves here, I come here, I'm gonna continue to cut him off. He goes back again. Now you can see he's stuck on these 3 squares. He can't come past this rook, right? So I'm gonna come in closer with the rook. He has to go out here, and now he's stuck on these 2 squares. He's gonna come over, and now I have to get him here, and I need a move to do that. So I can either move a pawn over here, or if I didn't have any of the pawns, I could just move the rook straight back. He has to come up and checkmate. And that's how you checkmate with just a rook. All right. How do I go back to? Might have to go back to create a game. Let's see. And I'm playing anonymously, so I'm playing against just random people. The Caro-Kann. So against the Caro-Kann, the typical move's d4. I like to play Mikhail Tal move, former world champion. I play c4. Leads to some open positions. Everything gets traded off. It's not as good for white, but it's a much more straightforward way to play it. Now here there's a slight trap. If he does this, I'm gonna capture here with the bishop, and now if he captures back, I play knight here and win the bishop back. A little trick inside the Caro-Kann, and that's a trick in a lot of variations. Whenever the queen gets pinned and the bishop's bearing down on f7 right there, and now his king's stuck there, it's gonna be hard for him to get his rook out. It's and I'm threatening checkmate. Like if he plays knight c6, it's checkmate. Yep. And that's checkmate. That was an easy one. All right. All right, so d4, I play Indian defenses, but I'm not good at them at all. Normally they'll play c4 before they play knight c3. When I play d5, he's probably going to play bishop g5, which is annoying. Okay, he's playing sort of a black. This is called a Black Mara Deemer gambit, which is very offensive, very aggressive. So let's see how he plays it. I try to not move my knight because that f7 square is a big target, and you also have to be aware of this. So I'm just going to develop naturally. He's going to castle queenside, but he doesn't. This is a very aggressive opening, and they make a lot of threats very quickly. Um, but this guy is not playing it super aggressively, so I'm kind of getting a easy way of it. I don't know if c6 is good. I just felt like it was good to develop my queen here. A common theme in the Queen's Gambit openings as black is to develop your queen to a5 because the knight is the only thing protecting the a2 square, and he has to spend time getting his king over. Um, b6 is usually a pretty good square for the queen, but in this case the bishop's bearing down, so we don't want to do that. You know, discovered attacks on the queen. I really don't want to move this knight, but he's about to make me by playing g5. Let's move queen a5. Now queen a5 does a couple things. He obviously can't play b3 because I take the knight. He moves up a3, which is sort of a weakening move, but not too bad. The other thing queen a5 does is it's now what we call a defensive resource. It's cutting off this rank here. Um, not really any moves right now that are still prohibited because this is protected by the bishop, but it does come into play a lot. So it's worth knowing about. I really don't want to cut my bishop off by playing knight d7 here, but I feel like I kind of have to. I don't see anything else I could do. I could play bishop e6 and here and trade. That might be the best course of action because now if he plays g5, I can play this, and he obviously can't take because of the bishop coming to this diagonal. Can everybody see me okay? This is the first time I ever use this software, so I have no idea. All right, so bishop back is a good move. Um, it's a good move because now he can move his knight, and I have to react to it instantly. What I need to figure out here is if I can play this. So all I'm worried about is knight to d5 followed by this knight to e4. And I don't think that's a problem because I can just play queen up. If the knight comes here or here, I can capture. Oh, that's what I'm missing. Okay. Okay, so if I play here, he can play this because the bishop is protecting this square, so I can't take with the queen. So I have to go back. But that's not bad for me. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. And now if he takes, I'll just take back with the queen. And I force a trade. And I think I'm just up a pawn. If he plays knight e4, I'm going to play queen a4. And if he plays knight b5, I'm going to play queen b6. And I feel pretty good about that. I don't see any tricks. All right, let's go forward with my plan. The idea is if he plays here, yep, I just capture. And now I'm threatening the knight. He has to do something here. All right, Midnight. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Beth. Which Beth? Give me a last initial. So I'm threatening checkmate. So he has to do something. He can't just take this bishop, for example. Oh, hey Beth. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I got you. I got you. You're friends with me too. The hell. All right, so he chose to block, which I was not expecting. So that means I'm up 2 pawns now. So I just have to get my queen out of danger, which I can easily do here. And now if he moves the knight, it's checkmate. You see the bishop and the queen. So he can't move this knight. So naturally, I'm going to try and make him move the knight. C4 would be an extremely weakening move for him. Okay, and he doesn't play it. So let's see, what can we play to make him move that knight? If I push, he can play bishop here. And that creates a couple new problems for me that I don't want. I don't know if I can make him move that knight. I could just develop. That's the move. Alright, so he still can't move the knight. He can play bishop here. And he's starting an h-file attack, which is Yeah. Let's play this. Let's try and get him to move the knight. Now he has to address this because I'm attacking his queen. Okay? And now I'm threatening checkmate. So let's see how he responds. Okay. I feel like he has a lot of holes here on the light squares now. How do I take advantage of this? Can I just play queen b3? Does that accomplish anything? He's threatening to open up the h file and checkmate me. And I have to watch my time. Let's see. I could just vacate this square because you see, whenever a bishop guards h8 like this, the h file is not too worrisome as long as the f8 square is vacated. Let's do that. Let's vacate that square because he's not threatening this square. Capture back. And now if he plays here, that actually might do me a favor. Yeah. So let's see. From here, what am I worried about? I think I can just play this. And now if he checks me here, I'm safe. I'm okay, I think. Yep. He can't check here. He can come here, but now I just slide over. And now what? He still can't check me. I have an escape square. And I only have 46 seconds, so again, I have to be careful. But I'm threatening this, right? Well, no, because then he can. I can't do it right away because then there is checkmate because this rook covers this file. So let's see. If he plays down, it's checkmate. Can I just? I can just take, right? It looks like I can. I mean, is it at least a draw? And I'm threatening to take his queen, which I'll do right now. And now if he pushes, I just take the knight. Whew, that was a close one. That was a good game. Got through on this one though. I'm gonna log off after this game. I need a. Yeah, it was a good game. Real good game. There was a there was a couple spots that I was a little worried. So what I was worried about here, he obviously can't push because this is checkmate. Um, so after the check, maybe there is nothing to worry about. Because if I'm threatening his queen, I'm gonna take his queen. So he has to move that. Okay, maybe there's nothing to worry about. Queen b3 turned out to be pretty strong. Let's see. It gives a stockfish gives queen b3 is the best move. Okay. I played a good move for once, guys. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone logging on. I'm gonna go check out the recording, test the stream, see how it came out. Really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time.